Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
Hi, how are you? He's Matt Shepard. I'm Sean Baligian. Shep, seriously, I'm in a giddy mood. I'm not joking. And I've always loved this week, but I'm sure something that you can relate to. This has always been one of my favorite weeks of the year for a myriad of reasons, okay? But as you've gotten older, and especially when the kids kind of move away and everything, to be able to go pick up my daughter from Michigan State today and know that my son's going to be on a plane pretty soon flying back here, you just can't put a price tag on how great this week is, man. You really can't.
Yeah, it's if you feel all warm, if you're a parent, I love people's traditions of whatever it may be. On Thanksgiving, a lot of my friends, they've got annual turkey bowls that they play, which I think is fantastic. They meet at a local high school and families play against one another, and they've played against one another for years, and it's passed down to little kids, so much so where some of the dads are just off and watching. But there's nothing like when your kids are home. It just seems like the entire house is all warm again. My daughter came home from state this afternoon and surprised us, and it's just it's the best, man. It really is. It's absolutely the best, man. You just want time to stop for just a little bit, though.
Are you going to be able to get them all home? Are they all going to be here for Thanksgiving and everything?
Yes, so the three of the four will. My oldest boy will make a pit stop, but because he works for Michigan football, he's got to head to Columbus shortly thereafter. So we only get him for a short period of time, unfortunately. That's the way it is around the holidays, and you know what it's like. That's the way it is in this business. So last year he sure didn't mind. This year it may not be as joyous an occasion heading down there at 5 or at 6 and 5, but we'll at least get to see him, and we at least get to break bread. And we at our house, we have all the cousins come over, my side of the family, parts of Lisa's part of the family. Last year we had about 38 to 40. We won't have quite that many this year, but everybody chips in, and then the cleanup, man. I mean, you know what it's like, and you and I got high school state championships right after. Man, the cleanup just seems like it takes forever, doesn't it? You need a utility sink full of all kinds of help. So it's worth it, man. It's definitely something that you look at as a labor of love, right?
Yep. No doubt about it. I love it. The last few years, Shep, I think I told you before, I spent so many Thanksgivings down at the Silverdome and at Ford Field doing all kinds of shows, whether it be the TV pregame, the post and all that stuff that literally my kids were shocked the last couple of years to see dad home in the morning. And I love it. And to be able to spend the day with them, you can't put a price tag on it. Tom, good evening. Derek said my favorite holiday, turkey and football. And Shep, honestly, rank your favorite holidays 1 through 5. Talk Radio 101. I would put it at number 2. Christmas Eve is the undisputed champion to me. I mean, Larry Bird put the number 1 finger up. It is the best to me. But honestly, Thanksgiving, including the buildup, I put that as a strong number 2. This is just a magical week for me, man. It really is.
I think I put Thanksgiving number 1. I really do.
Wow.
I think I put it number 1 because it's the one holiday where the entire family is together. And in Christmas Eve, we kind of divide and conquer. You know what I mean?
Sure,
we don't see everybody on Christmas Eve. We don't see everybody on Christmas. We see different parts of the family. Thanksgiving, we see everybody. Christmas, for me, I almost get really melancholy. And it's because I like the build up to Christmas and Christmas Eve more than I like the actually 2 days. I love the feeling that people have, the camaraderie that they show, the spirit that they show all the way up. And then when you hit Christmas Eve and you realize You got one more day, and Christmas seems to fly for me. It just seems to go by so quickly. And then the next day, I look around and I'm like, now what? Right? That's just how I feel. So I love all of it, but Thanksgiving is really special because it's just everybody together at the same time. So, and thank you, Tom. Wish you a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family too. Thank you, buddy.
Shep, since the lines were so boring yesterday and there was nothing to talk about that game.
You know what? Let me just
we
say
become
this.
snobby fans, though. Let's be honest. We've kind of become snobby.
I agree with you. I agree with you. If they don't score on every possession, you almost feel like, oh, all right. I guess got to wait till they get the ball back. Here's two things that I want to address, and I want to know if you think you've noticed it, because I don't think enough people have brought this up.
Okay.
Because we talk a lot about the offense, obviously, and for good reason. Super skilled. Aaron Glenn's done an unbelievable job. First time since 1999, back-to-back weeks. You and I were covering that 99 team, back-to-back weeks where they have not allowed a touchdown to a team. All right. The last time 99, that's Terry Fair. That's Chris Claiborne stuff, right? Okay. Alan Aldridge, you name it. Luther Ellis. Yeah, Luther Ellis. The fact that this team just doesn't commit many penalties.
Yeah.
And doesn't drop the football, to me, is really special. I mean, seriously, when's the last time you saw a wide receiver drop a pass he should have caught? Amon-Ra St. Brown 4 weeks ago, something like that. I know they had 5 penalties yesterday. Indianapolis had 10. Mm-hmm. Detroit doesn't have, I think Detroit is second in the league in offensive holding. For a team that has the ball as much as they do, does as much motion as they do, has as much razzle-dazzle and creativity as they put on, for them to have that few penalties, to me, is mind-blowing. It speaks volumes about the players and the coaches and the discipline that they possess. I don't think enough has been brought of it.
No, I don't think enough has been brought up about Aaron Glenn and his witchcraft. Like again, consider how many pieces he has missing. And quite frankly, that they basically started afresh in the defensive backfield, at least with the corners. And I agree with you, Shep. I hope people could hear my tongue firmly planted in my cheek about the boring game. What I mean by that is you're watching that game, and I don't know when it hit you, but really at no point in time did I go, oh, man, this might be tighter than I thought. It's a fascinating feeling, and one that we haven't encountered many times in our life. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's quite honestly, it's wiped from my mind. Now, do I think they're running the table? Not necessarily, because I do believe a game at Chicago in the elements can be challenging. A game in San Francisco, when it might mean a little bit more to the Niners than Detroit, although, Minnesota, you got to give them credit. And these are big games, man. I mean, people look at it like, oh, we're 10-1, best team in the NFL. Both those statements are true, but look, Philadelphia is just a game back. Minnesota is just a game back. And look at Philly. I'm following Philly on a pretty close basis because home field advantage in the middle of January. You want to be at Ford Field. You don't want to be.
I don't want to be at Philly
in the middle of Philadelphia. Nope. No, thank you. Not with the snow and everything else like that. You just don't want to have.
Speaking of schedule, Shep, have you taken a gander at their crappy schedule the rest of the way? They've got the Ravens, and then they host the Steelers, and then they have a bunch of poo. There's no other way to say that. I mean, they really do. And it's like, I'm the same way as you. Do I think the Lions beat Philadelphia? Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not afraid of the Eagles as much as I'm afraid going to that wretched city when it's 10 degrees. That's what terrifies me. I don't have anything to do with that.
Sean, I was doing TV pre and post for the ABC affiliate in Detroit and throughout the state when that huge snowstorm hit. Remember LaShawn McCoy just chewed up Detroit for over 200
2013, yards? Right? 2013?
Yeah. Oh my God. I've never been part of something like that. There was a part of it that's really special. It doesn't mean I want to go back there. And I'm not saying it's going to be like that. And I'm not saying that I don't have any confidence in Jared Goff and those guys. But let's face it. I mean, it suits this team's skill set, although their defense and running game does travel. It suits their skill set to be at home. And I want that desperately for Lions fans since they missed out on it a year ago in the NFC Championship game.
No doubt about that. Derek, this is pretty cool. I think we We can all relate in one way, shape, or form. I've been going to the Lions game with my brother every Thanksgiving since 99 after we have dinner with the family. Derek, God bless you. I did it with my friends starting my junior year in high school, Shep. It was 1986. And it was pretty much the same guys more often than not. But I did it all the way until I was in the business. And then I took the Thanksgiving Day game all the way until the COVID year. And, man, it was great. It was fun, but I'm not going to lie to you. Shep, I kind of like being at home. I do. I like being at home. I like being at home by the time kickoff starts.
We've had enough of that, but kudos to Derek. I mean, what a great tradition that he has. I love that people carry on certain traditions. It wouldn't surprise me if Derek said they went down there. They see the Thanksgiving Day parade a little bit before, then they venture into Ford Field. It's a special moment for a special town and a special tradition in this town. And I'm glad people like Derek continue to go with his friends because they're the ones that really keep it going. I just wish people from a national perspective, and I think I've said this and bored you with it, but I followed I don't know how, I didn't follow him, but somehow I got connected with some guy who's in Hollywood and is on some TV show, one that I never watch. Who gives a crap? But anyway, and he tweeted out, "Somebody's got to say it. Can we stop with the Lions and the Cowboys on Thanksgiving?" And again, I don't know this guy from Adam, but I tweeted back and I said, "Do you know how many people have tried to take this away? Let me give you a little history lesson." George, I went way deep, went into 1934 ownership, all that other stuff, right? He actually responded and said, "Okay, points made. Now I understand. Nothing against the Lions or their fans. We'll leave it alone." And he was done.
Yep.
And I wish people would stop. Just embrace it and enjoy it. Because it sure as hell isn't one big advantage. I would say this, Sean. I'm slightly concerned knowing that the injuries, no matter how severe they are, to Carlton Davis and to Khalif Raymond and to David Montgomery and to Taylor Decker. I don't think you can just gloss over that, knowing each guy missed a considerable amount of time and 3 of them were taken to the blue tent.
Yeah. It at some point in time, you would think it's going to catch up with them. And I felt that way for weeks, and it hasn't yet. I mean, that's the incredible thing about it. And besides, the Bears are coming in.
I know, but the thing about it, Sean, is, and you're right, you would have thought it would have caught up to them by now. Kudos to their depth and the way they're able to do it. But that's how difficult it is to win a championship. You've got to have a lot of things go your way, not just winning and losing and the ball bouncing the right way, but the injuries thing are so. Look, that's why I've said what Kansas City is doing right now is really impressive. You lose your number 1 wide receiver and your number 1 running back, and you're still able to do what they're doing right now, even though Carolina took them to the very end yesterday. That's something, man. And I hope Detroit can keep doing it. I'm just worried about the health, especially on a short week. That's all.
I want to get into something that Skydog said because I didn't see it. Maybe you did. But first, let me tell you about my friends at the Wealth Advantage Group. If you're ready to take charge of your financial future, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville and owned by those 2 fellas right there. 2 brothers with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, or already in retirement, they can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life, and they have clients in over 20 different states. True story. Shep, we were just talking about Thanksgiving traditions. One of our traditions is popping into their office to pick up a free holiday pie the day before Thanksgiving. The investment world is a complex one. If you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, it might be time to work with the experts. Reach out to my friends at the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574 or check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. I did not see this article. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess who the author of said article is. Call me crazy. I have a feeling who wrote the article. Shep, I don't know if you saw it, but Skydog said thoughts on the Free Press article today. Very, very negative towards the offense.
Yeah. I think sometimes you and I both worked with Drew Sharp. God rest his soul. Loved him as a
Mhm.
guy. Loved him as a partner. Worked for a long time. I think there was a type of slant towards certain sports stories to create a buzz. And I think people do that in our business more oftentimes than not these days. I think there is a chance to be a shock jock on radio, a chance to be a loudmouth on TV, and a chance to be the guy who wants to take the opposite point of view in writing so people get clicks. And I think that's what primarily it is. Now, I scanned it. I didn't read it and digest it, but I did scan it for sure. I think I know which article you're referring to. I know the guy. We've played golf together. He's a nice enough guy. We have a good relationship, I think, for the most part. But I think the expectations are rising a little bit, which I can embrace. But sometimes you've got to be a little realistic too. And I think it's ridiculous when you look at what Detroit's defense did, holding the Colts to just 11 first downs, holding them under 100 yards rushing and 176 yards passing. And yes, Anthony Richardson was god awful, but some of that has to do with Lee McNeil's pressure, Zadarius Smith's pressure, and Detroit's ability to cover a little bit. So I'm not going to sit there and say that this team had a lackluster performance by any stretch of the imagination. I think sometimes in football, especially because of the length of the season, because of how beat up you can get, I think you're bound to find a team that is gunning for you a little bit, and you got to dig a little deeper. And I thought Detroit did a really good job of that, quite honestly.
I like the guy too. I do. I probably don't know him as well as you do. I like him. We've had conversations before, but clickbait. It's what it is. It's
That's what they get paid for, you know. You realize that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's clickbait. I mean, it's okay. I mean, as long as you, Shep, but this is going to sound condescending. I don't give two craps. You know, as long as you know who it is that's delivering the message and what they're trying to do, I think your life gets a lot easier. How's that? Does that make sense?
And by the way, I don't think it's just writers either.
No, hell no.
I think it happens with radio hosts and TV hosts all the time. And you know what? Even though you and I aren't like that, and that's one of the things I've respected about you, you haven't gone that route. I haven't either. You and I could have there's been plenty of times where we could have just thrown our caps off and lost our complete minds and gone crazy. Okay? That's not our style. It works for some of these people.
Yeah.
And so for as many people who complain about it, and they do, my answer to them is always, you know what they're going to do. What are you listening to them for? What are you reading them for? What are you watching them for?
Yep.
Because all it does is upset you, but that's exactly what they need for you to keep coming. People have made millions and millions of dollars off this type of way to communicate, and it's working for them. So who's to say that it should stop?
I am Shep. There is one person I don't even like to name his name. Let's just say his name rhymes with Rip Rayless. I don't know how a single human being could watch or listen to anything that comes out of that man's mouth. I don't think he said anything. I don't think he said anything sincere for 15 years.
Well, I mean, the easiest. First of all, you and I have both done national shows. Okay, I did a number of times where I filled in for Jim Rowe. It's not easy. All right, you and I have it a little bit more simpler because we're focused on just our teams. All right, so that said, I'm going to give them that. It's hard to know a lot about everything in every market. The low-hanging fruit for him has always been Dallas or New York, but that's the way it is on the 4-letter network, and it is that way on a lot of the 3-letter networks, MLB, NHL, NBA. When in doubt, let's talk about the Knicks. When in doubt, let's talk about the Lakers. When in doubt, let's talk about the Yankees and the Mets. Those networks all hire these guys, right? So that's what they're doing, and you and I should know that. How is he any different than some of his co-hosts over the years who have said bombastic, ridiculous, and factually incorrect things
over and over and over
again? Why do you think the guy last week, Sean, said, Jared Goff, I don't think a team can win a Super Bowl with a pedestrian or a civilian civilian quarterback. Why do you think he said that? He wants to be different. Why do you think there's a certain guy on the 4-letter network who just screams?
Yeah.
Every time the camera red light comes on, he just screams all the time. He gets paid to do it. MLB, there's a guy out of New York. All he does is scream. And yet, fact after fact after fact, he's wrong.
Yeah.
But people continue to watch it, and they continue to employ him.
It's amazing to me. Let me quickly. I want to talk about our friends at Legacy. Did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents, and they provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Legacy has helped our listeners and my family, by the way, by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you, and help save you some money. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're paying too much and you could be underinsured. So what are you waiting for? Give my friends at Legacy Partners a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. Shep, isn't it funny? We hold, as you were talking about earlier, we hold Thanksgiving Day so near and dear to our heart. Rightfully so. It's our birthright. It's been here as long as we've been here, okay? And it's funny because it's another one of those days, if you seriously think about it, there have been more strange things happen on this day, more heartache, more heartbreak, more moments than you can shake a stick at. And maybe in a vacuum, looking at what the Lions have done on Thanksgiving kind of explains you where the franchise has been up until this current uptick. But it's interesting because they haven't won since 2016. And they got it done that day because Sam Bradford decided that he was going to do Sam Bradford things, if you remember, late in that game. Yeah. Hey, what am I doing? I'm winning a game, and I don't look bad. I'm Sam Bradford. Here you go, fellas. And he, threw a couple interceptions and
have a leg, have a breast, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Look, you're right. People act like this is Detroit's holiday, and it is, but like there's some dominating overall great record. The Lions have a losing record on Thanksgiving. They've lost, as you just pointed out, 6 in a row, I believe. It has not been good. We've seen Peyton Manning throw 6 touchdown passes. I was at that one. We saw Dave Williams return the overtime kickoff on Thanksgiving. We've seen plenty of history that was not good. They lost the very first one on Thanksgiving to Chicago. So there's been plenty of negative. Let's just hope this year it's a lot more positive, right?
Lendale White and Chris Johnson in the winless season. I just watching 522-pound Lendale White literally roll for well over 100 yards was just gross. And you mentioned David Williams. I think I told you, Shep, that was the game where Vince Evans scored on the last play of the game. Okay. They get the opening kickoff. They return for the touchdown, win the game. My grandfather burst into laughter. That was the game. And I'm in tears and my grandpa's laughing.
Let me ask you this.
laughing.
Was your grandfather complaining, the Lions didn't get a chance to possess the football? This is not the way you're supposed to end a football game in overtime with a guy to kick. No, he didn't do that at all. He just laughed and said, this is what we get. Now we get, flip a coin, please. Oh, please, you deserve a chance to get the ball too. Oh, because why? Defense isn't part of the game? I guess it's not. That's what we get now.
Yeah, it's incredible. But listen, it's the perfect recipe. You have a Bears team coming in that while they played more admirably this past week, I think we know how this season's going to end. I think we know how this is going to end for their coach as well. Everything comes into play nicely. The Lions should win going away in this one, right?
You know what's interesting, Sean, about Chicago is 2 weeks ago, or was it 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago, DJ Moore was not supportive of his coach at all. After a loss, he didn't get many touches. He was pouty in the locker room. He was frustrated. He was spouting off. Yesterday, he had a massive day in a loss. Didn't hear any of that, did you? That, to me, should concern people a little bit if you're a Chicago Bears fan. The other thing that might concern you, and even though Caleb Williams played pretty well yesterday, have you noticed the groundswell of support for one Bo Nix now as possible rookie offensive player of the year? He's looked really good lately. I think he's got like 15 touchdowns and only 2 picks in the last 9 weeks. Now, he's not tearing it up, 2,500 yards or so. He's done a nice job of directing that offense. I watched a lot of their game yesterday, directing their offense. He's been pretty good, man. Really good.
Shep, I'm stunned by that because I'll tell you what, in my humble opinion, I thought he was underwhelming his entire collegiate career.
Really?
And I thought,
too?
well, and let me explain to you why. I mean, I thought a lot of it was because he was a legacy. Patrick Nix, I'm sure you remember him, pretty darn good college quarterback. I thought at Oregon, and I think the numbers will support it. I thought you saw him do things against lesser opponents, and I thought single-handedly he was the reason that they didn't beat Washington twice. Like literally Michael Penix was a lot better than him in both those games. And I think at deep six, I think that deep six, Oregon. So I was left saying, again, NFL quarterback, sure. But I was, if you would have asked me out of this quarterback class, who would be the most impressive as a rookie? And by the way, I'm old school, man. What CJ Stroud did last year does not happen often.
Right.
It's
right.
Kind
look
of
how tough it's been for him this year too, by the way. Yeah,
right.
Go ahead.
But this is like what Bo Nix is doing bucks the trend too. And if he would have been last on my list out of these rookie quarterbacks. I mean, obviously Jaden is something else. We have to give him his flowers, but that's not supposed to happen. But again, Peyton said all along, if he got the quarterback that, fit what he wants to do and fits his system, that it could reconnect again. And things are working for Denver and things are working for Bo. But honestly, Shep, I was left really just
you're not
underwhelmed by him.
Yeah,
underwhelmed.
I get it. He's helped out by their defense for sure.
Yeah.
Sutton's had a really good year, but Nix is part of that. I really like Jaden Daniels. I thought he was going to be the best quarterback. I thought I had Nix ahead of Michael Penix.
Okay.
So I had Daniels, Williams, McCarthy, Nix, and then Penix.
Okay.
This year, I couldn't tell you one quarterback who I'd take in the first round.
It's amazing.
If I needed a quarterback this year, I mean, I would be in deep trouble because no way. I don't think I'd take any of them in the first round. Would you?
And you know what's going to happen, though. Set your watch to it. It's going to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's going to happen. Somebody's taking Sanders. Somebody's taking the kid from Miami. Somebody's going to take the kid from Oregon. Absolutely. I know it is. But I'm just saying I wouldn't do it. Yeah. I'm glad my favorite team doesn't need a quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Bears are awful. I think the Vikings were caught playing not to lose at the end of regulation. Hey, I don't think the Vikings are any good. I don't, okay? But at the end of the day, we can say that all we want, and you just better be prepared. They're going to be a playoff team. I mean, they're in the playoffs now. I kept waiting for the wheels to fall off, but Shep, at some point in time, when you look at the overall record, they're doing something right. Now, they might be the most fraudulent playoff team ever. And I swear to God, I think the greatest potential playoff game in the history of mankind could be the Atlanta Falcons against the Minnesota Vikings. I'd almost want to drive to that,
That'd be pretty cool. That would be cool.
In person, but as Skydog, as you said, they're 9-2. Yeah, we can bag on them all we want. They're 9-2.
I had this debate with my son last night. He's like, I don't think Minnesota's very good. And they are 9-2, man. I mean, come on. So basically what we've done is we've narrowed it down to 4 teams in the NFC.
Yep.
Lions, Vikings, Packers, and Eagles. And the AFC, I mean, Houston didn't look good yesterday, right? They have to come back down to earth. People don't think Kansas City, they don't think their 10-1 record is very real because they played so many close games. My response, not like I'm a huge Chiefs fan by any stretch. My response to that is always, first of all, you've won back-to-back world championships. Everybody's gunning for you. You've lost your best receiver, your best running back. And Andy Reid, you talk about hocus pocus. You talk about his wizardry. This dude is unbelievable. He is every year should be in coach of the year conversations, and yet they're 10-1, still able to win. I don't care how much you win by, Sean. All I care about is that you win. And
Yep.
that's what they're doing. So in the AFC, you're thinking it's what? It's Kansas City. The Chargers are pretty good. Not that they're a Super Bowl contender. Pittsburgh, Baltimore? Question
Pittsburgh,
mark.
Baltimore, Buffalo.
Buffalo. So
Yeah.
it's really Buffalo and Kansas City in my mind. That's it.
No, so Shep, I hope you understand we can say they're a fraud all we want, but they're going to be a playoff team. Okay,
For
I mean
sure.
they are. That's Minnesota's going to be a playoff team, and
Yeah.
the beauty is they're probably going to keep a team that maybe we should fear more out of the playoff. You know, I mean,
Like who?
Well, Frisco's a disaster right now. I mean, they
Sure.
really. Did you watch that yesterday?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Now, backup quarterbacks. This is why I constantly tell people there are not 90 good quarterbacks in the world. There aren't. So not everybody's got a good backup quarterback. San Francisco doesn't have a good quarterback. They are imploding. For some reason, they can't seem to get out of their own way. Players are pretty pissed off. You can understand what Kyle Shanahan is. I don't know if Minnesota's going to keep them out of the playoffs or not. I don't know if Seattle's going to keep them out of the playoffs or Arizona. I really don't care. I think Detroit's better than all of them. But listen, man, 9-2. And who wants to play Justin Jefferson and Addison every single week with Hawkinson? Those are big weapons.
those are good weapons, no doubt about that. Gordy, the Bears quarterback rotating door is similar to the Lions of decades ago. Rex Grossman took them to a Super Bowl.
I know.
Like that's real. That happened.
I know.
It's incredible.
That's why I said to people when this Nick Wright guy from FS1 says, "I don't want a civilian leading," I can't. Dude, have you watched any Super Bowls? By the way, he's already led a team to a Super Bowl. But you realize David Woodley led a team to a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
You realize there's been plenty of those guys. They don't always have to win it. There's a long list of guys who were just guys. Like Joe Theismann was good. He's not a great quarterback. Phil Simms was good. What a great quarterback. They won Super Bowls. You had other guys leading teams to Super Bowls where you're like, are you kidding me? Who the hell is that guy?
It's funny. I always say that, I think Joe Gibbs is chronically underrated. When you talk about great coaches, I never hear Joe Gibbs' name mentioned.
Good point. Yeah.
And I think he's chronically underrated because of he won a Super Bowl with Joe Theismann. He won a Super Bowl with a backup at that point in time, Doug Williams, because he wasn't. Jay Schrader was the starter, as you remember.
Yeah.
And he won a Super Bowl with something called Mark Rippon.
Right.
And Mark Rippon had one magical season.
He was the MVP.
Yeah,
right?
he had one magical season, and they put it all together, and that Redskin team was a wagon that year, but there was no lasting power from Mark Rippon. It's not like he went on to do anything. I say it all the time. I think Joe Gibbs is chronically underrated. I really do.
No, I'm with you on that. You're right.
Hey, let's talk about Lindsey Broadwell, and then we have to talk about something that we're both involved in. When it's time to get yourself a house, whether you're buying, selling, or both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? That young lady right there, Lindsey Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsey grew up on the mean streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. Now, when it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, first-time buyer, doesn't matter. Make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She will help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. All right, Shep, I know we touched on it before, but we want to touch on it again. And not just for some self-promotion for us and certainly for FanDuel, but I love high school football. I do. That's one of those things, if you asked me 20 years ago, forget if I'm working. If I'm not working, I'm going to a game. I'm either going to be at my alma mater, Livonia Stevens, or I'm going to be, at the hometown, Novi or Northville, as it were. And if Northville's not home, I'll run down the street to Novi. The kids both went to Northville. But I love high school football. I've been very fortunate to call it for quite some time now. And Shep, one of the annual traditions, not just the Thanksgiving Day game, but certainly the MHSAA at Ford Field is coming up as well.
Yeah, really pumped, Sean. I mean, it's a labor of love. If people haven't had a chance to watch it before, all the people who work on these productions are the same people who work Red Wings, Pistons, and Tigers for the network all season long, and they love it as much as we do. They just think it's absolutely outstanding with the passion and the camaraderie and the community that's all involved. Really excited to call it again. I've got 1, 2, 5, and 6, and you've got so many great storylines every single year in this stuff. I think this is my 28th straight year of calling it. It never gets old, but it's always super fun. And so I think my favorite part is talking with the coaches and getting the stories from their booster clubs or their assistant coaches about the kids that are doing more than just football, right?
Yeah.
I mean, kids who are involved in other aspects in school and deserve a lot of recognition for more than just their football accomplishments. So I'm glad you're on board with FanDuel this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know you're going to have a blast, and I know the people will love you. And I'm really fortunate that this tradition continues.
Well, I was completely honored that Jeff and the powers that be asked me to be a very small part of it as well, Shep. I have Division III and Division VII, Millington and St. Mary's CC. Really looking forward to that one. And then a huge one, Zeeland West taking on Detroit King. I know a guy on the defensive side of the ball for Detroit King. I can't wait for that one. And it really is, Shep, this year to be out most every Friday with the State Champs Network and call a game. Man, you can't put a price tag on it. You know, the Friday night lights is real. And the one thing that we see in this state, and this is not an opinion any longer, we're seeing kids go to places they haven't gone to before and being recruited to places that they really haven't been recruited. Shep, I think the secret is out in regards to the caliber of play in this state now. I really do.
Yeah, and what I like most about this aspect is we get teams from the west side of the state that a lot of people on the Detroit side don't always see, right?
Right.
So, for example, I got Cass Tech against Hudsonville. I think that's going to be an awesome matchup, and a lot of people aren't always quite familiar with it, even if it's a short drive away in Frankenmuth, for example, against Notre Dame Prep. That's going to be really a good one. And then for me, I'm fortunate. I've gotten to know Herb Brogan over the years. Herb Brogan, who handles Jackson Lumen Christie. Sean, if they win this weekend, it'll be 14 state championships, and no school in the history of this state. And we've been crowning state champions for well over 50 years now. No school has won more than that. That would be something else. It's
No
an
doubt.
absolute machine that is churning out there in Jackson.
So you are doing, Shep, you're doing 2 on Friday and 2 on Saturday. I know Evan Stockton is doing a couple as well. Certainly want to give him a shout out. And really the entire crew, as you said, on FanDuel. So are you working with Rob Rubik the entire game?
Yep. Rubes and I will be working together on the 2 late games Friday and the 2 late games Saturday. Yep.
Rubik actually texted me during the 8-man final because you know that UP power, it's real.
Oh,
like if you don't know somebody from the UP power is real.
Oh.
It's 100%. So he was listening or watching the game, as it were, when Pickford was playing for the championship. So he was actually texting me during the game because being a UP guy, of course he's going to pull for the UP, you know?
Yeah. And he was texting me at the same time. And I said, Rubes, I'm busy. I'm doing some things right now. I know you sit in front of your computer and watch. I was at the Cass Tech CC semifinal, and he's calling me. He's watching 8 games at the same time on his computer.
Isn't that
and
great?
I said 3 words: get a life.
Well, you know what we were talking about? It was funny. And Shep, I think you and I touched on this before. If we didn't, I know maybe Mike and I did. And we have some guys, some viewers from the UP. What people don't understand is there is a large section of the Upper Peninsula that loves the Green Bay Packers. Like I was driving into Marquette, and there was a sign, if the Packers win, you get a free fry. Now, I've been told by a lot of people Marquette is more Lions than it is Packers. And the further west you go to Iron Mountain, you go to Houghton, it's more Packers. And
without a doubt.
And even further, even beyond, you might run into some Viking fans up there. But Rubes was quick to point out Newberry, of course, he's a little familiar with that. And Pickford is Lion country. And that's one of the questions that I asked their coach. I said, all right, inquisitive minds want to know, are you Lions or Packers? He goes, oh, no, we're Lions, man. We shun the Packer fans around.
Well, Newberry has to be Lions because one of their native sons played 7 years for the Lions. So Rubes would probably turn the lights out in Newberry if anyone chose to root for the Packers instead of the Lions.
Hey, before we got out of here, Shep, what time are your games? Just to give everybody a shout out. I don't know if you've ever heard Matt Shepard call a game. He's pretty good. Shep, you've called some games in the past, haven't you?
Every once in a while. Yeah, every once in a while. 4 and 7 both days. And then you have what? The 10 and 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saturday morning. So it's
Saturday morning. Okay.
Yeah, I was instructed to go pick up a pizza on the way home. That's my family. Hey, Dad, we know you're working everything, but wait, on your way home, why don't you pick up a pizza? Anything else?
I got nothing else to do.
Right. Jeez.
Well, would you be so you're work Saturday? Are you going to come down Friday at all?
I might come down for later. And I have to get with you know how it is when the kids are home. The one thing that we magically always forget is they also want friend time. So if friend time happens, I go. If friend time doesn't happen, then I'm going to take in every second I have with the kids. So it depends when friend time happens.
I don't blame you, but if you have a minute, maybe you come down for one of those games, hop in the truck or come on up to the booth. Sometimes it's kind of fun to have your surroundings about you and see what's going on with it. So it'll be cool.
No doubt about it. All right. One more thing before we get out of here. Let me tell you about our friends with All About Catering. All About Catering LLC is a full-service caterer, graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for, from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. For Rick and his staff, customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal. So don't sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus and all their 5-star reviews. Give them a call, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Shep, I would wish you well on the broadcast, but something tells me you're going to do all right. Make sure you check out the games on FanDuel. Shep and Rob Rubik, and then, of course, Evan Stockton is a part of this. And then I am with just a great guy. I'm sure you know him as well. Yep. Grant Perry is just a gentleman. And I'll tell you what, when he gets fired up in the booth, I told him, I half expect him to do like a rap battle with Eminem and 8 Mile, because the hands start going out and everything. And it's like I start going like this, going back to my Livonia roots and everything. So it's, you know how it works.
Right, you're freaking me out. Turn that back around.
Hey, listen, happy Thanksgiving to you and the family.
Yeah, you too, pal. Thanks a lot. And same to Todd and his family and everybody out there. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Todd, thanks for all you do, and thank you as well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. God bless.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.